Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Watchers live stream for August 28th, 2024. We're almost entering the last third of the year.
We are, and it's spooky season already.
It's spooky season. I feel like as soon as 4th of July is over, that's how I feel about it.
True.
Because I feel like I watch more spooky movies during that time period. I don't know. It's just the way that ends up. But hope you're all having a fantastic day so far. Kevin, how the hell have you been over the last week?
Good. I just remembered that my new classes started today, so I have to go download some stuff.
There you go.
Everything else has been pretty good. I watched one more movie than last week, I feel like.
Hey, we'll take the victories that we can here.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I set a record for how many I watched this week.
I know.
I get it. But let's go ahead and jump into the stories this week.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, real quick here, we have a message from our good friend Nadia from Horror and More. If you're not subscribed already, go ahead and do it. Hoa to you too.
Howdy
indeed. But let's go ahead and jump into. Let me actually get that comment off the screen. Let's go ahead and get into the first news story this week, and that is that the grooming allegations that were brought against Ezra Miller have been taken back, according to the father of the victim. Really what it boils down to is that they want to start the healing process, and apparently the victim is happy about her life at this moment. They don't need this kind of over their head, so they have taken back the allegations against Ezra Miller, which, I mean, there's way too much that went on with Ezra Miller to go around with here. I think Adrian and I talked about it a little bit on the previous version of this stream. But there's just so much. Also, if you're interested, go look into it. You can see all the stuff that happened. But this has been taken back. Apparently, he and the victim are in a band, and they've been having a good time. So, you know what?
Okay.
Good times. You know, I'm always happy when people are having good times. But, you know, I'll have to wait and see what happens with all the Ezra Miller stuff.
Exactly. Next up, Denzel Washington joined Gladiator 2 because of Ridley Scott and was tremendously inspired by him. And he looks absolutely great in this movie, first of all, the way he presents himself. And I cannot wait to see Gladiator 2 because of how good it looks as well.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And I think I was reading a little bit of the interview. Like, he wasn't getting a lot of offers for roles that he found were very interesting or inspiring. And then he talked with Ridley Scott, who he had worked with on a movie called American Gangster, and was excited to work with him again, and got to read the role and was really excited by it. And so, yeah, super excited for that. I think he looks great.
Well, and when you have excited actors and actresses, it makes the movie a lot better because they want to come to work and they want to give it all their best performance.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Alrighty, next up. We talked a little bit about this last week, but the Megalopolis trailer was taken down after last week's premiere because it used fake critic quotes. And Lionsgate has apologized for using these fake quotes. Now, I actually saw this happen as it happened in the theaters this last weekend. I'm trying to think, did we see the one without the critic quotes or with the critic quotes in front of Blink Twice?
We saw the one without. I don't remember seeing it actually.
Okay, so then that's what it was. So on Friday, the movie that I saw, which we'll get to when we get to the kind of movies we watched, I saw the trailer with the quotes, and then immediately the next day when we went and saw Blink Twice, it did not have the quotes. So literally two versions of the same trailer in one weekend.
A day apart,
which I mean, it makes sense because you just send it digitally.
But that's crazy that they can just be like, okay, delete this, send it out again. Like, that's crazy to think about, instead of being like, hey, you have to mail this or ship it to this theater and do it. And they probably did it within the hour and sent it off. That's crazy.
100%. But it was a cool thing to see, and I'm glad they apologized for it. Obviously, you know, like any corporate apology, they get at face value or whatever. But, like, you know, they at least pulled it.
Well, and they at least they tried to undo their wrong, if that makes sense. They're like, hey, we know we messed up. We apologize. We'll see where that takes us, because I don't know if that movie's going to do well anymore.
It wasn't going to do well anyway, I don't think. But I do think that the estates of Roger Ebert and I think it's Pauline Kael should sue for slander or libel or whichever one it is, you know, because it's just using their words incorrectly, and I'm sure they didn't get approval.
Gotcha.
So, but next up here.
Yeah, next up, Robert Downey Jr.'s Doctor Doom won't be a Tony Stark variant. Robert Downey Jr. confirms. I don't know how they're going to do this then.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, maybe that's the best part about it is how will
they do it?
Exactly. And you know what? If they keep that under wraps until the movie comes out, I'm perfectly okay with that because I want to see how that happens.
Yeah, 100%. Sorry about the background switch. I just kind of realized that there's a lot of noise going on with the pictures of us, and then it's a little hard to see the news quotes down at the bottom. So hope you like the new background, though. I did a lot of work on it. Next up, this is me. Yep. Jenna Ortega hints that she originally auditioned for Zendaya's role in Dune, which is kind of surprising. She did mention that she had done a audition for a movie that was very secretive and was not really able to know what was going on, but apparently she either recognized some of the stuff that was said in the Dune movie and kind of put two and two together. But it sounds like she had auditioned for it, which I think would have been a nice change of pace for her, because I feel like she's getting very pigeonholed into the Tim Burton style stuff right now, and I don't know if that's going to hurt her career or not.
I mean, she like you said, she is pigeonholed because she is the goth girl, pretty much.
Yeah.
And, hey, put her in this movie. Hey, put her in this movie. And it's just really, I don't want to say bad, but it might hinder her abilities to get other opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think her career is really going anywhere. I think she's going to be successful no matter what. But you know, it's kind of getting typecast at this point, which it can be successful for the right performer. But it would have been interesting to see her in Dune. I think it would have been a much different performance.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if I would have liked it as a lot more. I don't know. So next up, Longlegs gets a physical media release on September 24th, 2024. Oh.
Yes, I'm actually double checking right now to see if it's like a pre-orderable thing, and yes, it is. You can in fact pre-order it on Amazon, which is it's only $24 or $29 for the 4K, so not too bad. They also do have posters that you can get as well, so I might actually get a poster. The artwork for this movie's posters are fantastic. But that is pretty exciting news, especially for us physical media collectors. Next up, Kinds of Kindness, the Yorgos Lanthimos movie that released earlier this year, will be releasing on Hulu this Friday, which is super exciting because I didn't get to see it in theaters. And I know you were kind of looking forward to watching it as well after Poor Things. And so, yeah, super excited to see that this is going to be available to stream.
To be honest, I don't know why, but I didn't even see it in like theaters, like on like the Regal app or anything, which was really weird to me how fast it went to digital.
Yeah, it's been a couple months, so I feel like it's about right. Yeah, I think it came out in like June or May maybe, but not too surprising. I mean, it's gonna be nice because, like, you know, if you have Hulu or Disney Plus, you're gonna get it either way, and we're finally gonna be able to watch it. I've heard it's not as good as Poor Things, but I still do want to check it out and see.
Yeah.
So, alrighty. And over to you, Kevin.
The Batman Part 2 starts filming next year. Writer says the bar has been set higher. Good. I mean, the Batman one was, and the Batman one is really, really good. So hopefully this can just perform better or at the same. If it's the same as Batman Part 1, I'm perfectly okay with that because I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, I think the Batman one's fantastic. Really excited to see what they're going to do for the sequel, which villain they're going to use, what storyline they're going to go for, and hopefully they can keep that tone and that visual look going because it was impeccable in the first one. Alrighty, next up, I'm super excited for this. The Running Man remake will start production in November. This is going to be directed by Edgar Wright, who did Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End, and will be starring Glenn Powell, who's like everyone's favorite actor right now. And I gotta lie, not gonna lie, I get it. He's very talented, and I'm super excited for this. The Running Man. I actually probably should have. We did a Guilty Pleasures video that will be coming out next Monday, which is a lot of fun. I should have put this one on there because it's not a great movie, but I love it to death. And I'm super excited because this was an 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie.
Yep.
And I would really like to see what Edgar Wright, as such a talented director, can do with it and kind of update it and hopefully make it more, more interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't seen the original yet, but I know Arnold is in it, and it does look very 80s, like 80ified, if that makes any sense. But hopefully to see if this new one kind of keeps that kind of charm to it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I want to actually double check because I think if I win the wheel spin and it's my pick for you, I'm totally gonna have you watch The Running Man.
Okay, sounds good.
Alrighty, next up.
Yeah, next up, a new Anaconda film is reportedly in development at Sony. May star Paul Rudd and Jack Black. We don't need another Anaconda movie, I feel like. Unless
depends on the tone it goes for, and
if it's a comedy like horror tone, I think these two stars are really good for like that tipping point. But if they try to do it seriously with these two main stars, I don't know if people are gonna take it seriously.
Yeah, I think it's all going to depend on tone. I think the original article said Paul Rudd and Jack Black, but it may have been Paul Rudd and or Jack Black, so either one of them. I mean, obviously the first Anaconda movie had Ice Cube, Jennifer Lopez, and John Voight, among other people. I think Owen Wilson was in it as well. The second one didn't have any big names in it, but they're such guilty pleasure films as well, and it's kind of odd that we bring that up. I mean, if it happens, they got to get the tone right. That's all I'm going to say. Next up, some more news regarding the upcoming Mandalorian and Grogu movie. Sigourney Weaver has confirmed that she will be starring in the film, which is awesome. Put her in every franchise at this point. She's in Avatar. She's in Marvel. She's in Alien. She's in not Harry Potter. She's in Ghostbusters. She's in... she's in so many. Just keep putting her in everything. Sigourney Weaver's a treasure. I love her.
Yeah. What's up? Next up, The Watchers will release on Max this Friday, and actually, I can't wait to actually watch it. Because I did want to see it in theaters, but never had the time to really go see it. So this might be my Friday watch for movie night.
There you go.
It was very intriguing when I saw everything. I mean, you did not tell me a spoiler, but we kind of know of the creatures throughout the whole movie, so which is kind of intriguing. But
you don't know what they are, right?
No. You just told me. You just told me that they know about the creatures, like their history and everything. So, but I can't wait to see how the creatures look.
Yeah, it's a part of the movie with their whole lore, so it's really going to be fascinating for you to watch. Next up, just announced kind of in the last couple hours here, Nikki Glaser is confirmed to be hosting the 82nd Annual Golden Globes on January 5th, 2025. I really like Nikki Glaser. She had a really big year this last year, and she's becoming quite the popular comedian. And I think she's kind of a natural fit to take over from, what's his name? Oh my gosh, Ricky Gervais, because I think she's just as insulting but also funny in the kind of humor that she does. So and she basically in her thing saying, I'm super excited to do this or whatever, she also said it's great that they have a show where we can poke fun at the industry, and so hopefully we're gonna get some tasty and zesty jokes in that.
I just hope people don't take it the wrong way or take it to heart too much. That's the thing that kind of blows over with these awards sometimes, is people just take it way too to heart, and they're trying to entertain millions of people, not just the people in the room. So
and if she does it right, it's a great boost to her career again. So
I don't know anything of her, to be honest, so I will be hopefully if I catch it, I will be watching it, but I will definitely watch the highlights to see who won and stuff.
I do think it'd be fun this year for you and I to do scorecards and we maybe, I don't know if we live stream us watching the awards and then like try and see which we get right and
That would be funny.
all that. That would be fun. But last story for the day.
Oh yeah, last story of the day. The Crow opens up 8th this weekend with only 5.6 million US, and I think it's because of that word to mouth.
I mean, word of mouth.
Did I say to mouth? Yeah, word of mouth. Word to mouth.
He's got something else on the brain right now.
Word of mouth, because that's a lot of people have been saying it's not good and it takes too long to get started, and that can decipher people. Dissuade. Or not. Dissuade. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about this when we get to the movies because I did see it this weekend. I think that this is not unexpected, but I don't think it's deserved. I think it deserved a little bit of a bigger opening. This is now a worse opening than Borderlands, which is saying
really?
Because Borderlands opened with $8 million.
Okay, but is it because everybody thought it was bad? They want to go see it to see if it's bad. Borderlands. Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Also, Borderlands, I think, arguably has more fans than The Crow does.
That's
especially
true.
Now because The Crow was like a '90s movie. So, there's a couple of different factors. I will just tell you right now, it's not as bad as Borderlands, and I want to see here. The positive word of mouth has actually grown for the movie. Let me see here. I'm not seeing anything here. But I know the positive word of mouth has the fan Rotten Tomatoes score has gone up for the movie, and it's like double or triple what the critics were saying. So, I mean, some people are enjoying it, and I think that it also just did not have that big of a marketing budget. I'm sure,
and I think that could be a determining factor as well, because Borderland had, even though it's bad, had a better impact on you going to the movies to see the trailer. But The Crow had a trailer, and then it didn't release another trailer for like a couple of months, I feel like.
Yeah, it kind of just focused on one trailer. And I will say that I think I saw more trailers for The Crow in theaters than I did for Borderlands.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of interesting. So,
yeah,
but I think outside of trailers, it didn't get much of a marketing budget.
Yeah, and that's what I think, because every time like I'm on YouTube or something and I get an ad, I got more of a Borderlands ad instead of a Crow ad.
But that's also targeted too, right? Like, you're a gamer, I'm a gamer, so like we're gonna get gaming related ads. And like, I'll say, like, I re-downloaded Borderlands 3 over the weekend because I just wanted to play it again, and the ad for the movie is just plastered all over that game. So like, it makes sense that they're targeting it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, but there's all the stories for this week. So we got some comments here. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Shouldn't the title be Gladiator 2: The Sequel? I mean, that would be a very self-aware.
That would be redundant
title, but can't wait. It looks like it's gonna be a good movie. Okay, friend Joey, new background. Yes, now I can actually put it back on. When we have the stories, see how it's a little hard to read. I didn't plan on this being the background for the live stream, but I was proud of it. So
I liked it. So,
but I'll go ahead and leave this on here so it's easier to see. I might make a version that has a black bottom so it's easier to read the comments and stuff. You gotta be kidding me. And wait, Glenn Powell. Yep, for the Running Man. Can't wait. As in Twisters, Glenn Powell? Yep.
Yeah.
That's odd how Columbia Pictures are doing another Anaconda film. Yep. Well, we don't know for sure. It's just rumored that it's in development. So The Watchers is set to be on HBO Max. Yes, this Friday.
Correct.
Should Lionsgate and Film Nation be getting a case study from Paramount because of The Crow? A case study? I don't know what you're getting at with that comment. Sorry. But Lionsgate is not having a good year so far.
No.
With Borderlands and The Crow.
No.
Alrighty. So that's it for the news stories. Let's go ahead and get into the trailers that came out this week. We had quite a few heavy hitters that came out this week. So, Kevin, what stood out to you? Like, what are your top one, top two? What are you thinking?
My top two would probably be Terrifier 3 and Sonic the Hedgehog 3. Terrifier 3 because the other ones are good, and I just want to see. It's more like a Christmas horror movie, so that's kind of cool to have. We don't get a lot of those Christmas horror movies. And then Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The first two Sonics are pretty good, so I want to see where they're going with the story for this one, especially with Shadow being in the villain, pretty much.
Sure. For me this week, I think the first trailer we got, it was kind of like after the show last week, was Lord of the Rings: The War of the Rohirrim, which is the upcoming Lord of the Rings anime film. Super excited for it. It looks fantastic. And actually, Kevin and I, you will be covering the Lord of the Rings movies on Movie Club before this comes out. So hopefully, if your opinions change on Lord of the Rings, we'll be able to catch this in theaters.
We'll see.
So, but also, I think Superman, the Christopher Reeve story, looks amazing. As a portrait documentary, I am super, super excited to watch that.
Yeah.
All right. And that's going to be it for the trailers come out this week. Kevin.
Yep.
Let's talk about the box office.
Box office. Nothing really new came out today or this week except for The Crow that didn't do too well, unfortunately. But Deadpool versus Wolverine still on top with 18.3 million.
Back on top.
Because Alien Romulus was number one last week, and then Alien Romulus dropped down to 16.4 million. It Ends With Us is still up there with 11.6 million. Blink Twice, which
open
is
this
still
week.
Open this week, and it turned out pretty good. We'll talk about it. 7.3 million, and The Forge, which I had never heard of, with 6.7 million.
It's one of those. I don't want to say it's like an indie film. It's one of those movies that's made for a specific audience.
Oh, okay.
That specific audience being American Christians, and it had a huge opening. Which, I mean, good for any film that does get to pay its staff and its workers. But like I will say though, like these scores are they're very close to, or not scores. These amounts are very close to each other, and I think that you're like 6.7 million was The Forge, and then The Crow was 8th with 5.6 or 5.5.
Yeah,
like it's very spread out. So we saw a lot of movies getting a lot of the money. We just didn't have something that really shot away with the weekend.
Yeah,
which is honestly. Granted, not one movie got all the money, but all the movies got money. And I think that that's a good weekend in theaters for everything released. So
yeah, and well, especially if you wanted to go see The Crow and maybe were disappointed, but you haven't gone to see Romulus yet. Okay, maybe we'll go another day to see Romulus, and that would be, and you missed it, it would be this day or blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it does give the movie theaters a little bit more money too, and that's okay.
And honestly, I think we might see a little bit of a resurgence for it because the word of mouth has gotten so much better for the film that maybe we could see it show up in the top 5 next week because the fan word of mouth has grown. So
yeah,
anything's possible, and that's what's really cool about the box office, and that's why we talk about it. We did get one comment here. I did sit through Deadpool and Wolverine. What is up with the usage of NSYNC? Nostalgia, baby.
Well, actually, I'm going to nerd out really quick. In X-Men, when they get into Cyclops's or somebody's Mazda RX-8, when they steal it from the mansion, they turn on the music, and the first music was Bye 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 by NSYNC. It was on the radio.
I didn't know that. Yeah. All right.
So
Kevin called it out. I love it.
And Deadpool knows that Wolverine doesn't like that song because of that reason. So
that's fun. I didn't know that. Great job. Alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about the movies that come out this weekend. And it's a pretty big one because the biggest release this weekend is a horror film with Afraid. The Curtis family is selected to test a new home device, a digital assistant called Aya. Aya learns the family's behaviors and begins to anticipate their needs, and she can make sure nothing and no one gets in her family's way. Early reviews seem to be pretty decent for this. It has a 7.2 on IMDb as far as a fan score. I mean, I'm not really for anti-AI tech movies, but this one does look to be pretty interesting. There might be something else going on with it.
I will tell you something. Nadia just saw the trailer maybe 2-3 days ago, and she goes, "I didn't know this movie was coming out." So I don't know if it'll make that top 5 because not a lot of marketing happening.
Haven't seen the trailer at all in theaters, just on YouTube. So,
Mhm.
but I will be going to see this weekend. So you'll get a review from me next week. Next up, the second movie releasing is Reagan. This is a drama based on the life of Ronald Reagan from his childhood to his time in the Oval Office. If it's appealing to you as a historical kind of drama biography film, then go ahead and check it out. It's got some pretty great actors in it with Dennis Quaid and Penelope Ann Miller. Third, the new release movie coming out this weekend is Slingshot. An astronaut struggles to maintain his grip on reality aboard a possibly fatally compromised mission to Saturn's moon Titan. Pretty excited for the cast of this movie. We got Casey Affleck and Lawrence Fishburne here in a kind of 2001-esque sci-fi thriller. So really excited to see how this movie turns out. The trailers make it look pretty interesting. And lastly is City of Dreams. Inspired by a true story, City of Dreams chronicles the journey of a Mexican boy whose dreams of becoming a soccer star are shattered when he's smuggled across the border and sold to a sweatshop in downtown Los Angeles. This movie comes to us from the executive producers of Sound of Freedom, so going with a grain of salt. There might be some political messaging in the film, but I will say that this movie does look to be better than that one. So, okay. But those are all of the biggest releases coming this weekend. So hopefully something has piqued your interest. I think AI is probably going to be the biggest of the four. Maybe Reagan. Afraid. Maybe Afraid will be the biggest. I mean, Reagan has a chance, especially because we're getting into election season. Politics are kind of at their heat at their peak right now. So maybe some people will go and check it out. You never know.
Yeah.
So,
is Afraid made by Blumhouse? I feel like it is.
Afraid.
I feel like every movie is made. Horror movies made by Blumhouse right now. But
let's see here. I don't know. It's a great question. I'm waiting for the trailer to show the logo at the beginning. It is Sony and Blumhouse. There it is. Also has Catherine Waterston in it, which we haven't seen her in a lot of stuff recently. And I don't know. I think she's a good actress. So, okay. Alrighty, a couple of comments here. I thought NSYNC was because of the joke in Ashes by Celine Dion, which is the song used from Deadpool 2. Yeah. So maybe. I don't know. You'll have to check it out, Kevin. I never saw the Afraid trailer, Kevin. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, maybe you were talking about it, or I brought it up. Somehow we were talking about this movie that she never saw it. So
you're hearing it in real time.
Yeah, I don't know.
Alrighty. But that's going to be it for the kind of scheduled stuff this week. Now where we get to talk about the movies that we watched over the course of the last week. And oh, brother, did I watch a lot of movies in the last week. I actually want to go ahead and look
5, 6,
here.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Well, there's also more because I did watch a bunch of short films on YouTube by a particular YouTube creator named Felix Colgrave, who is a fantastic animator. I really love his stuff. If you want to check that out, you can. But I covered 23 total pieces of film in the last week. That's including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of those shorts from Felix Colgrave. So,
okay,
pretty big week. So, I'll just get through probably the first half of my recreational ones, and then we'll do yours.
Yeah, that's
what we usually do. So, up first for me, this started out. I set a record, as I have it in the description for the channel. Jeez Louise, the name for this video. I went and saw a movie in theaters 5 days in a row, which is my new record. But the first one I saw was Twisters. And I was not expecting to like this film as much as I did. I really had a fun time with this movie. Has a story that's actually pretty decent given the franchise's history. Some really likable characters, some excellent set pieces. And I appreciate that the film is not a sequel. This is more of like its own thing in the same universe. It does have some elements of the first one in it, so maybe you could call it a remake, but I'm not going to call it that. The visual effects in this movie, fantastic. I expect it to get an Oscar nomination for visual effects, and I think that it could win any kind of sound or sound design Oscars as well. That's fantastic in this movie. Like I said, the cast is fantastic. Daisy Edgar Jones and Glenn Powell are great in this movie, and I really appreciate how they didn't pursue a romance between the two of them. They just kind of kept them as professionals and like friends, which is really nice. And then also it's just full of rising stars. We have Anthony Ramos, Brandon Perea, Kiernan Shipka, David Cornswet, and Katie O'Brien. All these people are great in the movie. And it's so cool to see this from Lee Isaac Chung, who directed the Oscar-winning Minari, or not Oscar-nominated Minari, and then going from an Oscar-nominated indie film to this is like such a ballsy career move, and I love it.
Yeah.
I think that some of the side stories are a little forced. There is a story regarding Anthony Ramos's character and his company that's just a little. I get what you're doing, but it didn't need to be there. But it's not enough to detract from how fun the movie is. I think this is one of my favorite movies of the summer so far. So. But I got home from that and immediately watched the original because I had never seen the original. And I will say that the new one is much better. But this film, the original, is successful because of its set pieces and visual effects. Both hold up really well. The cast is good here, particularly Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt and Philip Seymour Hoffman. Great additions to the cast here. Where I dislike this film, though, is that especially compared to the newest one, this one is far less realistic and it's more campy, which can work in a film's favor, but like with how much more realistic and grounded Twisters is compared to this one, it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And I wish that the film would have spent a little bit more time in the aftermath of tornadoes and kind of showing the destruction and what families have to go through, like Twisters does. And I think that that's a missed opportunity. But I think the film is still... It's some of that campiness is fun. I got to give it that. It's a 90s campy movie. Not nearly as fun as the new one, but it is still a good time. After that, we put out a Spider-Man tier list video this week, and I went back and reviewed Amazing Spider-Man 2 from 2014, and I hate this movie. First off, there's way too many plot threads, too many villains, and there's way too many setups going on here. It's like the studio wanted to inject as many possible stories as possible into this film to milk sequels, and I feel like we're still getting those with Venom and Madam Web and Morbius and the upcoming Kraven. But I do think that Andrew Garfield is great in this movie. I think he's better than he was in the first one, and I think that he and Emma Stone are carrying this movie over the finish line. Like their backs must be broken. I do think that the both of them are fantastic. What doesn't work here, though, for me are the villains specifically. Jamie Foxx is the best of the villains, but the design of the character and the arc of the character, no pun intended, just don't work for me. Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin, bad villain, bad performance. And then we're not even going to talk about Paul Giamatti's Rhino. It's just awful.
Floating head.
It's a major setback for the franchise. It's not as bad as something like Batman Forever or Batman and Robin, but it feels like that of the franchise. Okay. And it's just painfully corporate, I think, is what my kind of longing feeling is on the movie. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Next up, Apollo 11. This is a fantastic documentary. It is free to watch on Tubi, and I highly recommend that all of you check it out. This is, of course, about the Apollo 11 lunar landing mission, and it uses all archive footage from the time, most of it unseen. So we actually get to see well done cinematography shots of NASA at the time. It follows us from 3 hours before launch up until the days after they returned back from the moon. We get to see angles of the moon that I've never seen before, and it uses completely archive footage. There's no recreations. There's no added voiceover. Nothing. It's all from the time. It just has music added, which is fantastic and adds to the kind of layers and story of the movie. But then also there's a couple of animations that are added here and there to show you like where they are on the journey to the moon and how it actually kind of worked. Other than that, it's fantastic. Could not more highly recommend. I think it is just such a good time.
So what you're saying is there's no green screens in this one?
No. And Stanley Kubrick was definitely not on site for this.
Oh, okay.
Which, it's funny. I used to think that the whole thing was a conspiracy, and then I looked because of one thing was holding me back. I was like, how are they getting the movie signal or the video signal back to Earth to show that they were there? And then I did some cursory research into like how broadcasting worked back then, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then
have you heard of the Neil deGrasse? Is that his name?
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Yeah. His joke about that.
No.
Where he goes, so the Russians were in U.S. were in cahoots about going to the to the moon, and so they get a filmmaker and they say, okay, we gotta fake a moon landing, and they start shooting it and everything. He goes, it doesn't look like you're floating. Why don't we just go on site and then we'll film it there? So that's it's that, and then the
That's
movie
great.
turned out perfect.
There you go. Speaking about something we talked about a little earlier, The Crow was next. I saw this in theaters last Friday. First, I will mention that I have not seen the original, so I can't compare it to the original, and I probably wouldn't because it's its own movie. I went into this movie with extremely low expectations, and I will say that I wasn't fully disappointed. It's not a great movie, but there are good elements. I think Bill Skarsgård is pretty good in this movie, all things considered. I just don't think he's given enough story-wise. But also, there are the design of everything is pretty cool. I like the world between. And it just kind of feels like a dark and grungy movie, just like the original looked like it was. There's one shot in particular in this movie that's really fantastic, but it's kind of a spoiler. The music's good as well, both the needle drops and the original score. It uses kind of like old school goth type music in the film. I'm totally here for it. Finally, there's one last action sequence in the film in the opera house that's fun. Other than that, this film is a dud. The performances just aren't interesting. The villain is just meh. The pacing and editing of the film is the weakest part, though. Like you said earlier, it takes way too long to get started, and then once it starts getting action-packed, it's just not that for long enough.
Yeah.
So, it's not the worst movie of 2024 by any means. It's still better than Madam Web and Borderlands, but it is the turd at the top of the pile.
I forgot Madam Web even came out this year.
Yep, and somehow it's still not the worst movie of the year. So, Borderlands can just rot in hell. Next up, before we switch over to Kevin, I watched Monster House, which is a movie that I hadn't seen in a very long time. And while I'm largely positive in my feelings, I do feel a little bit mixed on this movie. I think the story and the tone are fantastic. This is a scary movie that is made for, it's like a family-friendly film. And I feel like the horror community has really grown to accept this movie. I don't know what Nadia's feelings on the movie are, if she's even seen it. But I feel like the horror fans have kind of embraced this film as kind of like one of those great entry points into the genre, because there are some genuine scare moments in this movie. Granted, it doesn't stay that for very long. I think that the third act gets a little action, family-friendly, heavy. And my biggest problem with this movie is I think it is just irredeemably ugly. Even when it came out, it was not really well animated. So,
what animation style is this?
It's 3D. It's 3D
It's
CGI
3D?
animated. Yeah,
Okay.
it just looks like it's stop motion, and I think that it's kind of janky. It almost has the Hoodwinked movie effect, where the animation quality almost looks so bad that they say it's on purpose or whatever.
Okay.
But I just think the movie visually just does not look good. Even when it came out, I saw this movie when it came out, and I didn't think it looked good then.
Yeah.
So it's a good movie still. I think that the story is very strong, and I think that it treats its audiences like adults, whether those are kids or adults. It doesn't treat them like they're stupid, brain dead children, right? It treats you like you can actually pay attention, learn the story, and get scared. It's okay to get scared by a movie. So
I haven't watched this movie in ages. I feel like I remember watching it though, but
it's on Netflix, so if you want to watch it, check it out. Before we go over to Kevin, we had a couple of comments here. Heck yeah, I love that film. There you go. I think it was for Twisters.
Yeah.
Like that film too. The pipe scene totally makes it.
That's Twister.
Any thoughts on Anthony Aardvark from 2020? I will get there when we talk about the wheel spin stuff. We're getting there. All right. So Kevin, your 3.
Yep, my 3. Well, you will be talking about this too when it comes up, but Blink Twice. I gave it an 68 out of 100. That's dyslexic right there. It's a great first what would you call it? Directorial debut.
Directorial debut.
Perfect for I think her name is Zoe.
Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah, and because of how crazy this movie is, and I will say that the story does get a little, I don't want to say lost, but I want to say I kind of figured out what was going to happen, I feel like, but there was some surprises in there, oh, I didn't expect it to go this way or that way. I don't want to spoil anything because it is such a new movie, so that spoiler free right here.
Yeah.
But the way she shoots in this movie, the way it's shot, the cinematography is very promising because she does make it look very beautiful, and how much she can fit on the screen, if that makes sense. You When you get to the island and you see his house, the whole house is in the shot, and then people are just walking by it to see how big it is, and that, like, perspective pretty much. And I like when movies do that because it shows you again, perspective on it. So the cinematography is great, the camera work is fantastic, story good, not bad. I've seen much worse. And then the actors and actresses so good in this movie as well.
Okay.
Next up, Deadpool. Just because I saw Deadpool versus Wolverine, I wanted to go back and watch Deadpool. I liked it a lot more when I watched it the first time, and I think because I like Deadpool and Wolverine a little bit more, because Deadpool is I feel like a little bit more funnier and has a more comedic role in Deadpool versus Wolverine, and that's what I was expecting coming back into this, and it did not kind of fulfill that mindset pretty much for me. So I gave it an 87 out of 100. Still a really good comic book interpreted Ryan Reynolds movie. And I would suggest seeing all three of them in a row or anything like that, just to give yourself a little chuckle laugh during the MCU.
Yep. Alrighty.
Okay. Next one up is going to be Cars. I just watched this while we were watching wrestling too. And this is a good animated movie. I forgot how good it looks too. And I mean, the car racing scene, I'm into cars, and how they have different personalities and everything like that as well, really helps with that. And then it just looks pretty. I can't get over how good it looks for a 2006 Pixar movie. And I know Pixar makes absolutely great movies, but this one just is so pleasing to me for some reason because of all the vibrant colors and how it's animated as well. So I give it a 95 out of 100.
Alrighty. So there are all of Kevin's recreational viewings. And going back over to mine, I'll kind of start out with where we left off with Blink Twice. I was probably less enthusiastic on this movie than Kevin was. We did actually go see this together. Did see this on Saturday. Starting positively, I think the visuals here are really good. I think it's shot very well, like Kevin said. And Kravitz is clearly a director that knows what she wants to show you when she wants you to see it. And her team has done a great job with the set and the costume design. Also worth some praise here is the music and sound design, which does feel a little bit repetitive, but that is by design. I think the cast is also great. Naomi Ackie, Adria Arjona, and Channing Tatum specifically are all very good in this movie. Supporting cast is also good, and everyone feels like they're a great pick for their role. Where the movie doesn't stand up for me, though, is the story. I just don't think the mystery was all that appealing to me, and I feel like I knew what was going to happen at the end of the movie by the end of the first act. The film also starts out with a trigger warning, which I appreciate, for the kind of content that's in the movie, but I just didn't feel like it handled those aspects of the film very well, or like it just kind of fumbled it a little bit. It also, in that, it does mix up the messaging of the movie. It tries to go for a message, and for lack of a better term, it's a movie kind of like Get Out. And I just don't think that it hits anywhere near the same level as Get Out does. I definitely did walk out a little bit more confused on what the message was supposed to be, but I can't go into detail because I don't want to spoil the movie, so don't want to do that for anyone. There's plenty of style, but mixed level of substance. The tone is all over the place, and I think that's the other big criticism too. Like, this movie tries to be a thriller and to have some like intense moments, but then it just undercuts all of it with comedy, and it's just kind of rough. Like, you know, instead of just making some sort of statement, it then goes, "Ha, gotcha!" You know, like it's just kind of weird. It's a decent directorial debut, and I will be watching the rest of her films with great interest to see where she can go from here. But it's just a little too mixed for me to kind of recommend. But if it does appeal to you, go check it out. Next up, the next day, I went to go see Strange Darling, which released in theaters this weekend as well. I had only seen a trailer for this once in theaters, which makes sense why no one really went and saw it. This film is not what you expect, and I will not spoil the movie here. There's too much going on in this movie that I cannot say really anything. What I can say, Willa Fitzgerald gives an incredible performance here, and I think that she deserves bigger roles and more lead roles after this. She is incredible in this movie. Kyle Gallner is also great here. He is like a warm but menacing character. That's all I'm going to say. However, for me, the supporting performances in this movie were awful. Kind of like In a Violent Nature, where the movie itself, very pretty, very good looking, but then everyone, like all these supporting people are just awful. The structure of this movie is very cool. It has an order that seems odd at first, but then it makes sense as it tells its story. And then the film has its fair share of twists. It feels kind of like a Shyamalan movie, if Shyamalan could make good movies again. And when it's Willa and Kyle, the two main characters on screen talking and doing things, fantastic. It's incredible. But when there's any other cast member there, it doesn't work. There's one scene in particular that has two police officers in this movie that feels especially off-putting, and I know a lot of people will kind of know what I'm talking about. There is an aspect to the film that it tries to cement in it that I think they really fumble, and it just comes off really the wrong way. But the largest kudos here have to go to Giovanni Ribisi, who is an actor. He played the CEO corporate head in Avatar 1.
Okay.
He is the cinematographer for this movie, and it's his first movie being a DP. And he does a fantastic job. I'm really excited to see what he does next, what he does with lighting and color. Fantastic. It's a good thriller that suffers from a couple of noticeable issues, but I think it's still worth a recommend. Go check it out in theaters for yourself, especially for how this movie tells its story. And because I honestly did not know where it was going. And in hindsight, probably should have. Next up.
Garrett, what is a DP?
Director of photography. That's the cinematographer.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure. Okay, that's okay.
Next up was the last movie I saw in theaters, which is Trap. I saw this on Monday this week. I had heard mixed things about this movie, so I went in to a Monday night showing and went to go check it out. I was the only person in the theater until like 5 minutes into the movie, and then more people came in, and I was kind of upset. But Trap is a film with a fantastic premise. There is a very good movie here. There is a serial killer trapped at a concert and has to find a way out. Fantastic. The movie dwells... Well, I'll get there in a minute. Positive things about this movie. Josh Hartnett is incredible in this movie. He is a fantastic performance here. Really, really good. He keeps us guessing and wondering what the next action or step's going to be. It's so cool to see a thriller about the bad guy, and it's really interesting to see what they do with the movie. The writing and staging of these events surrounding him, really good as well. And I give full props to Shyamalan and to Hartnett for bringing that to life. What doesn't work for me, though, is how much Shyamalan injects his singer daughter into this movie. The first 2/3 of this movie, half of it feels like it's an advertisement for her, and it's really stupid. She's not that good of a singer. She's not that good of an actor, and yet she's being pushed on you like day-old bread at the grocery store. I couldn't think of anything better. She's not great. And I just wish we had spent a little bit more time with Cooper and maybe what happened before the movie or something like that. Maybe a little bit odd pacing, like, could have been, or not odd pacing, but like odd structure to the story. Could have been really cool. The first 2/3 of this movie is okay, but the last third is where it gets really good. And so that's where I really started enjoying the movie. And I actually felt pretty thrilled by some stuff that happens in the last part. My heart rate was up like during the last third, which is hard for me to do that in a movie. I can't say that I'm not disappointed, though. I feel like there's a lack of a Shyamalan twist here. There is a twist that is in the movie, but it is self-contained in the story. It's not like a grand, Sixth Sense style twist, but it does work for the context of the movie. And I appreciate that the movie is more self-contained in smaller scale, but there is just a lack of that twist.
Gotcha.
It's a fine film, nothing extraordinary. It's a fun thriller with a truly great performance that does get a little lost from time to time. So,
gotcha.
All righty, almost there. I'm done. Almost done. I swear.
You're good. Good.
Next up is Wonder Woman from 2017. I only have 2 more movies in the DCEU to watch, so all the Snyderverse films are done. And I have definitely soured on this movie a little bit. I think that this movie both struggles and succeeds in what it attempts to do. I think that Gal Gadot is great in this movie. She brings a great level of charm. That lack of worldly knowledge. Everything that happens with her in London is fantastic. Mm-hmm. I hate fish out of water stories, but she handles it really well, and the film handles it really well here. And then she's not as fun to watch in the first part of this movie because she's surrounded by other badass actresses that she doesn't stand out. She's got like Connie Nielsen and Robin Wright, who are the Amazonian like people who rule the island and stuff, and so they are fantastic. So she kind of gets lost in that. The World War I setting is a great change of pace for film. I'm so glad they did that instead of World War II, because it would have just been obvious, oh, the villain's Hitler the entire time, and it actually does something more unique with that. On the other hand, the action in this movie is pretty bad. There's only two sequences that are cool, which is the trenches sequence in like World War I, and then the beach combat on the Amazonian island. Those are great. Everything else looks bad. The problem is that because of the visual effects in this movie really suffer. They do this weird, like slow, fast motion, like weird movement, and it doesn't look good. It makes it look cheap. Also on the bad side, the characters here are pretty dull, especially the villains. The villains have these fantastic performers playing them, but then they're given nothing interesting to do. Yeah, they're so boring and dull. And even Diana's companions have great performers doing them, but they're not given enough. Even oh my gosh, Chris Pine is just not that fun to watch in this movie. This movie really capitalizes on Gal Gadot, and I think that's fine because she's very good in this movie. But it's just not enough to carry the entire movie. The movie's not bad by any means. It's fine. I think Patty Jenkins does a really good job of directing here from a script that just isn't that good. I think the script is where the problem is. It's a good if you watch it for the first time, but it's not something I'm going to go ever revisit again, I don't think. So, alrighty, last one, and I watched this just last night, which is Speed, the original. Love this movie. This movie was fantastic. It is the first film to feature Keanu Reeves in a role like this, and kind of proves that he could be an action hero. He brings the charisma, he brings the action chops. Even when he's powerless in a situation, he always feels like he's in command of it, which is really good for that. The villain, played by Dennis Hopper, great on-screen villain. I'm so upset I didn't put him in my villains video. And then Sandra Bullock here. I'm gonna be real with you for a second. I got a major crush on Sandra Bullock, and she's in this movie. I love her. This is toward the beginning of her career, and she's really great here. The cast is only one reason why this film works. The other is that the film is just nonstop tension and thrills. Really good. I will say that there does lead to a criticism here that it is such nonstop that there is a fake out that happens toward the end of this movie where you think it's over and then it's not, and it's a little tiring. You're just kind of like, oh boy, like you've already gone through the worst part, but then like there's more to come, and you're like, all right, I got like 50% energy left. What am I, little tiring by the end, but it is a thrill ride of a movie. It is also pretty funny in some parts with some cheesy dialogue that really kind of ties into being like an 80s action film made in the 90s, which is funny because this is actually directed by the cinematographer who did Die Hard, and it really feels like it. This feels like the action movies of the 80s that I love with all my heart. I think this movie's awesome. If you haven't seen it already, go watch it.
So
fun. It is great. Don't watch the second one though. I've heard it's terrible. So, alrighty, that's it for all of the recreational movies. So we're going to get into the Wheel of Fate here in just a moment. Trap was when you heard the WB fanfare. I don't understand the grammar on that one. Sorry. I guess they're saying that the trap was hearing the new fanfare. I don't know.
Maybe.
Joey, World War is decent, but the final fight with Ares just felt like it fell on its face and felt deflated. Yes. Yeah. It's just a CGI fest. There's fire everywhere. It doesn't make sense. It's just an ugly final fight. Yeah. I mean, Ares is a cool villain, but you got to do something better with him. So, yeah. Alrighty, Kevin. Let's start with your short.
I'll let you take a break from talking a little bit, but yeah. The whole idea, and I remember Joey saying this was animated by one person the entire time, and it was fantastic. I loved it. Knowing that little detail and showing how diverse he can make this animation was really cool to find out. Animation fantastic in this movie. Kind of seeing like a villain in a short was kind of cool as well because of what happens. A thief steals the magic holes and uses it for theft, and it's really interesting on how he gets caught and how he uses the hole, and then it's just there's some fun parts, but it's kind of serious at the same time. So I give it a 95 out of 100. Definitely check this one out. It's only like some of these are like 7 minutes long, and they're awesome.
My short was Walkie Talkie Hockey. This is a fun, well-animated little short that has one of my favorite Looney Tunes characters in it. I love Foghorn Leghorn. I'm a sucker for him, not a soccer. I'm a sucker for him. I love him. His writing just always makes me cackle. Like, he's like, I don't know. I can't even think of one right now. Balder than the bowling ball or something like that. I don't know. But like, it's not the most inventive idea in the world, but this short makes it work. And so end up giving an 85. I love Foghorn Leghorn. And the little chicken hawk, he's great too. So, alrighty. And your first movie, Kevin?
My first movie was Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. I actually watched Maleficent, the first one. I had to go back. It was in my letterbox, and I reviewed it, and I go, okay, it was not that bad of a movie. This movie is just okay. It's nothing too good, nothing too bad about it. It's a kind of a good sequel, kind of not at the same time. There is a little twist to it, but you could see it from like 20 miles away. And that's what sucks about this movie, is because you can see that twist coming. You're just waiting until it comes. Unfortunately, I do want to see if they make any of the creatures from the dark side of the forest. Those creatures are super cool looking, first of all. So that was the kind of like the good part of it. And then Maleficent finding her own kind was kind of cool as well. But the twist was always there right in front of you, and that's what gave it such a low score for me.
Gotcha. The first movie I checked out this weekend was Sister Act from 1992. I know a lot of people hold this film kind of in their heart, and they love it as kind of like either a guilty pleasure or something that they just genuinely enjoy. For me, I can't say that I'm a fan, and I'm saying this because I definitely felt like I was disappointed by the whole thing. I don't think it was very funny, and I feel like, honestly, the film is rather boring, in my opinion. I went back and watched a review of Roger Ebert's, and I wanted to see if it actually lined up, and he said that the trailer for this movie was fantastic. He's like, it's one of the best trailers I've ever seen. Saw it first time, loved it. Second time, loved it. Third time, loved it. He's like, I went and saw the movie, and he's like, the trailer was better directed than the movie was. Which I was like, oh, that makes sense. I think Whoopi Goldberg is a performer who I feel pretty mixed on usually. Usually she for me, she's a lot better in dramatic roles than she is in comedic roles, just to me, at least from what I've seen her in. With here, in this film, I think that sits somewhere in the middle. There are some good moments, and there are some really annoying ones. I think she excels where it's a little bit more dramatic, and I don't think that she's very good when it's supposed to be funny. It's kind of a weird mix. But my biggest issue with this movie is that it is incredibly super formulaic. It does nothing to expand on its premise. It's just you literally know everything that's going to happen in this movie by the time you start watching it.
Oh, okay.
It just does nothing to surprise you or do anything with its story to take any chances. Granted, it's made during the 90s. It's like a manufactured comedy movie at this point, but there is one moment where she does punch two guys in the nuts simultaneously like this because she's on the ground praying, and it just goes bam, and that's a pure cinema moment, and it is beautiful. But after all this time, I just was left really disappointed. I wanted more out of the movie and just didn't get it. I didn't feel like it was very funny or fresh or original, just a dud. But I can understand how so many people love it and would enjoy it like on the background, or it's just something that they genuinely enjoy watching. Totally get it. But again, it's just not something for me, and it just did nothing for me.
Gotcha.
So hopefully I explained that well enough.
Yeah, you did. Mine, the next one up is Malignant. This was a COVID movie, unfortunately, made by James Wan. And if it wasn't for COVID, I think a lot of more people would be talking about this movie because of the twist that happens. I don't want to say the twist because I think the twist is pretty cool in this movie. The twist that happens, the transitions in this movie are really cool. How it kind of melts the walls behind her and kind of has like a perspective of going through somebody else's eyes, which is really cool. I haven't seen that in a long time, especially in a horror movie, and you kind of care for the people in this horror movie, which is also nice because normally you do not care about people in horror movies because they're just going to be offed out. But another really cool thing, the kills in this movie are fantastic. A lot of gore, everything like that is great. And when the twist is revealed, the first time Nadia and I were watching it was where we're like, oh shit, like that. And still watching the movie, I was like, even though I knew it was coming, the way how they present it is like, oh shit. So which is really cool. I gave it an 87 out of 100. Again, if COVID wasn't a thing, this would have been a more talked about movie, I feel like.
Sure. Yeah. And I feel like, well, it didn't necessarily do too well in terms of like box office or gross or anything. I do feel like most people, even like critics, what was the Metacritic on this movie? Let me check here. It was a 51, which is, I feel like, for Metacritic, I feel like it's higher than most horror movies are. Mm-hmm. And like the fan and critic reactions are not bad. Like, by many, I think it's like an enjoyable movie from what everyone says. Mm-hmm. But it just didn't do well because of the time it came out. It came out during the middle of COVID when theaters were closed. So it didn't do well because it was only on Max. So, yeah. But I've been waiting to watch that movie for a while.
Oh, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask that.
Hey, if it gets picked for Garrett, if you're picked for me, then there you go. Mm-hmm. Righty, and that's going to bring us to the last movie, which is the one that I have watched this week, which is The Ant in the Aardvark. This is actually a film made by our viewer, Fox Pixar Media, who suggested for us to watch it. So I checked out this project last week, and so here's what I think about it. First, you can see here that it says no score. This is particularly just because this project is not on Letterboxd or IMDb. And so because of that, I can't keep track of it in any of my data or sheets or anything. And so it just kind of feels disingenuous to do that for me. Any project that's not on those two sites is just something that I don't want to provide a score or a review for. But as far as the film goes, kind of just a general opinion, it's not something for me. I think that it's not something that really piqued my interest. I didn't really enjoy it. It's just, like the characters, I don't know who they are. Like there's just a lot of things that it goes for that, just I didn't really enjoy. But I do want to say this, and I think more so than any movie that we've covered on this show or live stream, I can say that this project is very much and very clearly made with passion. Not only a passion for its characters, but also a passion for like the medium. It's stop motion and a variety of different film techniques, which shows a lot of skill and creativity. And I think that it shows a great wealth of talent and someone who is genuinely passionate for what they're doing. Fox Pixar, if I were you, you should definitely look into some sort of classes or some skill-based workshops or something to help you develop this talent. You have something here. You're very clearly passionate about it, and I totally respect it. I wish that I had the skill or patience to make a movie, let alone a stop motion one. Which, so yeah, like I may not have enjoyed it, but I will always support those people who do go out and make films like this. It's a skill and a patience and a craft that I just do not possess, and I very much respect it. So, I will always support people that do this. So, Fox Pixar, keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully this passion will turn into a career for you someday. You definitely have a bright future ahead of you if you keep working at it, 100%. So, sorry I didn't like it, but I do think that you have the skills there. So hopefully you kind of understand where I'm coming from on that. So that's going to be it for the movies we covered. Let's go ahead and get into the comment section here. It was the Warner Brothers logo. Oh, you're talking about the Warner Brothers thing you talked about last week. Imagine Bette Midler in Sister Act, as she was supposed to be in it, but she turned it down. Also, I like the singing. Yeah, the music's not too bad in this movie. It's just, like, again, the whole movie just didn't really do anything for me. And I think Bette Midler, I don't know if she would have been better. I'm not really a big fan of her either. So, I don't know. But I think Whoopi Goldberg did the best with what she was given. So maybe it was a writing issue. But correct, yeah, so you did make it. It does have an after-credit scene. Yeah, I did watch the entire thing. Do you remember the music and companies behind the film? Yeah, there's like 5 minutes of intro sequences to this movie. So, yeah, I know them. Alrighty. Well, that's going to bring us to the last part here, which is going to be the wheel. There you go. Kevin nailed it. Alrighty, everyone. Let me go ahead and change up the music here because we're on a different level here. So go ahead. If you have any movies you want to suggest for the wheel, go ahead and get them in. We'll go ahead and add them to the list. From this point on, if we can try and recommend just films that are on Letterboxd, IMDb, things that we can actually, verify are out there, that'd be great. But yeah, go ahead and submit them. If you got whatever movies you got, we're kind of over an hour here. We got a long show this week. That's probably my fault because I watched a shit ton of movies. But
it's okay.
Hey
Garrett, what do you want to watch this week? What would you like?
You know what? I watch everything. So, I mean, like I've talked about this before, how my roommates and I do movie nights and we kind of switch off who does them. So my cousin last night chose Speed, and his girlfriend is next, and I think we're doing 13 going on 30, which I don't know if it's going to be in the next week. So it's kind of a romantic comedy. So like I'm already getting that itch that's going to be scratched this week, so I'm really excited to see whatever comes up next.
Nice.
All right, The Jungle Book from 1994. Very interesting. Jungle Book, 1994. The Crow from 1995. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it.
What about you? Anything that you want to check out this week?
The Crow. If I get it, that would be awesome to check out. Trying to think of anything else. I don't know. Something that's surprisingly good.
Real quick, Joey, is that Sing a Song of Sixpence a short? Just want to double clear that up real quick.
That sounds like a short.
Okay, I got what you're saying. Nadia says Sea Beast for Garrett.
I already saw it. I already did it. So
we're talking about the animated Sea Beast?
No.
Oh, from 2008. The horror one looks almost like a piranha type poster.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's already on the list, isn't it? I think because it's on my Letterboxd search history.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, it already is. Okay. I don't know if that's the one I just put in though, but okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
All right. So there's that, and then Joey, it is a Three Stooges short. Okay. All righty. Yeah, and then our good friend Tuan, who is probably just as crowned at this point as Nadia is in terms of selections being picked, already gave me his films. Nice. Only 4 because we've both seen one of them. So.
Okay. What was the one that we saw?
Spirited Away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think that's coming up on Movie Club anyway. So if it isn't,
didn't we already watch it?
It is. Maybe we did. No, we
already
watched. Man, when we've done over 50 episodes, it's kind of hard to keep track at this point. All right. Any other movie suggestions to go on the Wheel of Fate before we actually go up and spin? I feel like we should help Kevin watch some more movies this week. Maybe we'll assign Kevin 3 movies.
I don't mind.
I'm just messing around. I mean, if you're okay doing 3, I'll do 3. Actually, wait. No, I have a 3-day weekend this weekend, so I can.
I don't.
Well, for Labor Day, we have Labor Day off.
But, I don't.
I do have a wedding that I'm going to on Sunday, but that's just in the evening.
Ooh, what wedding?
It's for a family friend of mine.
Oh, so, cool.
We got Lord of the Flies from 1963.
I don't see Spirited Away on here, but I totally thought we already watched that.
I feel like, you've probably seen it even without doing Movie Club. So I feel like you're pretty up to date on the Ghibli stuff. The Fly. Nice. I think there's 2 different versions of The Fly.
It's 1980s. She put
86. There's also 58 as well. So I'm gonna put both of them on here. Just for you, Nadia. I'll pump it up a little bit. We'll put both on there. Alrighty. We'll go ahead and give it we'll give it another minute, and then we'll cut it off.
We have the Lord of the Flies and the Flies.
Woo! There's so many flies in here. It's crazy. Alrighty. Super excited for what's it called? We'll talk about it a little bit later, but movie club this week. It's going to be a good one.
Which one?
It's a certain movie from a certain country that has I don't know. Don't get sick because then you'll be searching for a.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ooh, Jeff Goldblum. Yep. Hopefully it wins. Alrighty. We'll go ahead and, since there's no more recommendations coming in, we'll go ahead and pause it. So no more recommendations going forward. We now have 212 entries on the Wheel of Fate.
Yay. You went last week, so I'll go first this week.
All right. We're doing 3, right?
Yeah, we can do 3.
All right.
Cool
Kevin's getting one now. Kevin, your first movie is... Oh!
The Fly.
The Fly from the 80s.
Nice.
Alrighty. So Kevin has got the 80s version of The Fly. So there you are, sir. Kevin, or that's right, not Kevin. Nadia, winning the wheel spin. Love it. Alrighty, and I'll go ahead and spin for me. Looks like I never took off King Kong versus Godzilla either.
No, that's weird.
I'll leave it on there because I want to watch it too. I own it. I haven't seen it. The Green Mile. All right. Here, starting it off with a big one.
Yeah.
That one's gonna make me cry, I'm sure. Alrighty. The Green Mile. It'd be really funny if I got the 50s Fly and you got the 80s one.
That would be kind of cool.
That would be really fun. Alrighty, Kevin's second spin. What is Kevin gonna get? Are we actually gonna get a short? Old School!
Is that the funny comedy movie?
I believe this is a comedy. Yes,
Nice.
it is.
With Will Ferrell.
With Will Ferrell and Luke Wilson. Yep. Alrighty, you're getting a nice little mix of genres here. I like it.
I'm okay with it.
Alrighty, next up, let's go ahead and shuffle that bad boy up and do it again. And what am I going to be getting for my second one? Kind of hard to tell from this small screen.
Garrett's pick for me. Yay.
Doesn't do anything
I love that movie. It's on here multiple times.
Alrighty, next up for me, again, respinning.
Are you going to get short?
Now you see me. I have never seen this movie.
Oh, okay.
And we are getting a third one, so I'll have to be able to watch it out in time. Alrighty, shuffle that bad boy up.
This is my
Kevin,
last one, correct?
Your third movie, and then we'll get you a short.
Cool.
Kevin's third movie is...
Is it really? Oh my gosh.
You're watching both of them!
Hey, that's okay.
Oh, that's fantastic. I am so excited for that for you, because we get to compare them. Oh, that's great. I don't know if Nadia's seen it either. It's a nice little romantic movie night, too. You're gonna watch some flies. Alrighty. That's fun. That's 2 wins for Nadia tonight. All right. Third wheel for Garrett. Let's see what I get. I love the suspense of not knowing what it's gonna be.
You gotta spin it again.
Shuffle it up and spin. I'm telling you, I like the suspense. It's okay. I'm okay with it. Give me something. Give me something different from the Green Mile and I forget the other one already.
Hey, you got
The Crow.
Wow.
Oh, now you see me. The Crow, 1994. Okay. I feel like this has been a productive wheel spin for.
Oh, don't remove it. Don't remove it. I'll put it back on there.
Why?
So I want to watch it too.
Oh, okay. All right. Alrighty. So that is it for the movies. Let's go ahead and try and see if we can get some shorts here, Kevin. So we'll get you your short first.
Yep.
And then we'll wrap this up because we've been going for a while.
Yeah. Thanks for everybody hanging out too. So
yeah, thank you so much. All right, so not much me girls. You're gonna have the the Poet is the closest one. Actually, I think this is the one that Joey had me watch a week or 2 ago.
Yeah, the Poet and the Peasant. That one?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, Poet and Peasant.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and we'll give that one to you.
And you can erase it too.
And now I can erase it. It's fantastic. All right. Cool. We'll shuffle that up and see if we can get my short here. It's always nice to keep the shorts on here because sometimes you might get the one that the other person got. So I think going forward we might leave them on there if the other person hasn't watched it.
Yeah.
All right. Oh shit! That's funny. It was to duck or not to duck. Yeah, to duck or not to duck. All right. So, just to sum things up here, I'll go ahead and stop the screen share. Kevin is going to be watching The Fly from the 1980s, The Fly from the 1950s, Old School, the comedy, and the short The Poet and Peasant, which you'll need to find that on archive.org, just so you know.
Okay.
That's how I had to watch it. For me, I'll be watching The Green Mile, Now You See Me, The Crow from 1994, and To Duck or Not to Duck, which is the short. So, anyhow, but that's going to be it for the show this week. Didn't look like there was any comments for you guys talked here. Yeah, there's 5 minutes opening logos followed by the agency. Yep. Ran for 2 hours and 23 minutes. By the way, the Synergy logo appears in the film. Also, you have to notice some jokes in the end credits. All right. So those are the movies we're watching this week, and let's go ahead and talk about the stuff we got coming up. So we are going to have a new video coming out on Monday, which is going to be me and Kevin's top 5 guilty pleasures. So really excited to talk about that one. We don't have any guilty pleasures in common, which is fun. So we get to talk about 10 movies. 10 movies that aren't that great, but we are going to talk about them anyway because we like them. And then also, obviously, this show goes live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we cover movie news, reviews, and so much more. And we have our show Movie Club, which goes live every Friday, which this Friday, super excited because we are covering the Japanese film Cure, which has been very much looked forward to by me, and we get to watch it for the first time. So come out and check it out when you can. It'll go live on Friday at 4 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's going to be it for the show this week. Hope you all had a great time, and I hope you all have a fantastic week over the course of the next week. And until next time, remember to keep those eyes. I just poked myself in the eye. Keep those eyes on the screen. Have a good night, everyone.